back to my channel. My name is Laura, and today I am excited because I'm going to share my favorite books of the decade. I saw this on Gabbyreads channel, and I thought this was amazing. So I went to my Goodreads, and luckily I had most of my books sorted by year. So I was able to pick my favorites from each year. I'm going to do 2 books for every year, except for 2011, where I found 4 books that I had to mention. So here we go. Starting at 2010, my favorite books published in 2010, not that I read them in 2010, published in 2010, are 2 books. So the first one is Safe Haven, and I really love this book. It's about this woman who is hiding from her husband, and she goes away on a trip and she finds love elsewhere. So I really like the book. I really like the movie, and yeah, so that was my favorite book of published in 2010. The next one is a middle grade book, and this one is called Out of My Mind. And this one is about a 11-year-old girl who has cerebral palsy, and she can't walk, and she can't walk around, and she can't eat, and she is in a regular school. And this book was amazing. It even made me cry. Yeah, there was 2 parts in this book that made me cry. It really shows how mean real people can be to handicapped people. So yeah, so I really recommend that to every middle school grade child to read this book. Okay, moving on to 2011, and this is the year somehow I have a lot of books published in 2011 that I loved. So yeah, I think I started my YouTube channel, my book YouTube channel, I think in 2015, and keeping track of what I was reading at that time. But I have a lot of books 2011. So the first one is called Before I Go to Sleep, and I love books about memory loss, and this one is a memory loss book, and it's a psychological thriller. It is awesome. I'm not going to tell you anything else. The second book is What Alice Forgot. And this is the first book I read by Leon Moriarty. And again, this one's about memory loss. And I just remember reading this book on the treadmill at the gym, because while I was reading it, the woman in the book is at the gym, and she passes out at the gym on the treadmill. Yes, really strange. And so after I read this book, I had to pick up all of Leon Moriarty's books, and she is one of my favorite authors. The third book is a YA book that I loved, but I did not like the whole entire series. So book 1 should have been a standalone. I love Divergent. Yes, I loved it. It's a dystopian type world, and about this girl who has different factions, and it was amazing. I loved it. Again, it has some memory. They go into this thing and they bring back memories. I love that part of the book. But as I read on to the other books, I did not like it as much. But book 1 was fantastic. I loved book 1. Yeah. Okay. The last book in 2011 that I really loved, and I always push this book on everyone. It's called One Summer by David Baldacci. I don't know if I said his name right, but this one was a great summer read. I don't remember much about it. I think I need to reread it, but I love this book. I think it had in my memory, I think that one of the parents was supposed to be dying. It's a sad book. It made me cry, but it's a great summer read, great family read, and I really loved it. I haven't read any of his other books. I know he doesn't write this contemporary books, but this was his great contemporary book. I really couldn't put the book down. All right, moving on to 2012. 2012, I have the funniest book ever that I have read that I have never laughed so much. I chuckled and snorted. Yes. You guys might not like this type of book. It is adult, new adult. It has erotica in it. The book that I'm talking about is Wallbanger. Oh my God, I never laughed so much in my life. All I can say to you is if you read this book, it has sexual content in it. It's a very sexual book, but meow is my answer to this book. Oh my God, it was so funny. Okay, the next book that is not so funny, but I really enjoyed it, was One Breath Away. And this one was about a school shooting, and I still remember reading this one and asking my principal what happens if a child is in the bathroom and we have a lockdown drill or whatever. Yeah, I still remember reading that book. It was heartbreaking, and yes. Moving on to 2013. 2013, my favorite book was Angel Fall. Yes, it's about angels, but they're dark angels, and it was amazing. It was a page turner. I could not stop flipping the pages. Okay, the next one is The Storyteller. Okay, this one I remember reading at the pool at my mom's house, and this one is about the Nazis, but it's done in this time frame. So there is people living among us that were Nazi people who were in the Holocaust, and they are living among us. And I kept on saying to my mother, oh my God, could it be our next door neighbor? Could it be this one? It really makes you think, oh my God, they're still alive. They're still living among us, and they were not treated in crime. They weren't treated for their crimes. Yeah, that's kind of scary. So, yeah, The Storyteller. And this was the first time I read a Jodi Picoult book, and I really loved her writing style, and I will be reading. I've read a few of her other books that I really enjoyed, but The Storyteller really was really, really good. Okay, 2014. 2014 is my favorite Colleen Hoover book. Ugly Love is my favorite Colleen Hoover book. It is new adult. Again, it has sexy times in it. I don't really remember the story that well, but it was released in 2014. And yeah, I'd like to reread that one day. Another one is Bird Box. This one is a horror book, and I couldn't put this down. I actually read it. My daughter read it. Then we watched the movie. The movie was pretty good as well. It had Sandra Bullock playing in it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's about post-apocalyptic. I can't even say the word. Anyway, it's about these monsters that are out living outside, and you have to wear a blindfold. It had me on the edge of the seat while I was reading this one. It's a horror. Yeah, really, really good. Moving on to 2015, my favorite book was Wreckage by Emily Bleeker. It was her first novel that she released, and I could not put it down. It was a page turner for me. It was about a plane crash, a love story, a secret. I really enjoyed her writing style. I actually gave her a 5-star review, and she contacted me and sent me a signed copy. So I was really excited. Haven't read any of her other books yet, but I do have them on my TBR to read. This is a book that keeps you thinking, and what would you do in this situation? Okay. The next book is Every Last Word, and this one was amazing. It actually it's a I think it's a mental health book. I don't really remember much about it, but it did give me journals. It gave me my 3 journals: my happy journal, my sad journal, and my angry journal. So I made 3 journals after reading this book, and I really enjoyed it, and it changed my life at that time. So yeah, to have 3 journals to write down my moods and stuff, that was really amazing. Okay, 2016. 2016, I read Salt to the Sea, and this one is about a cruise ship in World War II time, and it was amazing. Her writing style is amazing. She is one of my favorite authors. She writes really well. The next one is Things We Keep. This one is also one of my favorite authors as well. She is an Australian author. And this one, I think, if I remember correctly, it's about memory loss. And it's about teens that have memory loss. Yeah, and it's a love story as well. 2017. My top book is a nonfiction true crime book. It is called The Hospital by Barbara O'Hare. This takes place in 1971. So I was 1 year old, and they took Barbara and they put her into a mental institution, but it wasn't a normal mental institution. It was a place where they do experiments on you. So this one was really hard to read, yeah, it was my favorite book though. It does deserve the 5 stars. I feel so bad for this lady, for Barbara, who was experimented on, like, with different things. So yeah, it was very hard to read. The next one is a psychological thriller, and it's called Good Me, Bad Me. But I don't remember much about the book. But it's a psychological thriller. It was a top 5 book, and thrillers, you have to go into them blind. So I'm not going to give you any more details, but it did get 5 stars for me. 2018, another psychological thriller type book. And this one does have sexual content in it. It was a page turner for me, and the book is called Jar of Hearts. It was my favorite book of that year. Yes. The next book is The Great Alone, and this one takes place in Alaska. And I just remember being very cold. I feel very cold just when I just said that word. She writes really amazing books, and yeah, I'm like, my shirt is like, oh my god. Anyway, The Great Alone takes place in Alaska, and I just got the chills when I just mentioned that book. So yeah. Okay, 2019. I just finished my review of my favorite books, so these are going to be mentioned again. My favorite book released this year was Woman is No Man. It's about a Pakistani woman who comes to the United States, marries a man, is forced to marry a man by a arranged marriage. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It was written very well. I never knew about arranged marriages before, so yeah. This one was Yeah, good. Anyway, the last book that I want to mention is The Girls at 17 Swan Street. And this one is about a girl, I think it's a woman. She was in her 20s, I believe. And her husband sends her to a hospital because she has an eating disorder. She has anorexia. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Yeah, so it's about anorexia. Anyway, that's it. Those are my favorite decade books of all time. Check out Gabby Reads. She did mention, I didn't mention any of her books, so I know some of them that she had on there I did read, and I did enjoy, like The Room. I really enjoyed that one. But she has some other books, so check out her channel. I will put the link to her video below, and hopefully Gabby will check out my books and see if she will read some of mine. So thank you. Have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this. This was fun to record and fun to look up. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.